Tonight, serious concerns about the capacity of Wallaroo Hospital amid a growing population. And uni students take on the challenge to freshen up parts of Port Augusta.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. There are concerns Wallaroo Hospital is crumbling under pressure of a population increase. The Copper Coast Council is concerned the hospital doesn't have appropriate facilities to provide care for a potential rise in patient numbers.
The Copper Coast is experiencing a population boom, which is music to the ears of many, but it comes with a concern.
This area is one of the fourth highest growth areas in the state. So we want to make sure that the health services for our area continue to grow with the population.
Council fears the Wallaroo Hospital will no longer be able to cater for the needs of the wider community and visiting tourists who could potentially need medical attention.
Our population is growing considerably, so therefore the number of beds that we have here today probably won't service the future.
There are now calls for services to be available 7 days a week. At the moment, radiology is only operating Monday to Friday.
So anybody that would be hurt, for example, in a football game over the weekend would have to go to Adelaide for x-rays.
Adding to that, longer wait times.
There are long waits in the A&E department, that sometimes there's not beds available, that the staff are constantly under pressure. So therefore we need to make sure that as the population continues to grow, the staff numbers grow, the bed numbers grow within our hospital.
In a statement to Southern Cross, Country Health South Australia says surgical services have been relocated from Yorktown to the Wallaroo Hospital to improve health services available for people in the region. But Council says that's simply not enough. Given the population is only set to rise, future-proofing health services needs to start sooner rather than later.
I think at the moment that certainly the hospital is stretched to its limits.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
The former administrator of the Whyalla Steelworks has returned to the city to present its final update to Whyalla Council. Mark Mentha says he and his team have learnt a lot from a 16-month process, saying the city is now ready for a strong future.
For over a year, Corder Mentha has updated Whyalla Council and the public on the administration of Arium. They returned last night to officially say goodbye.
We were asked by the council just to give a final summary on the administration process, and it also afforded Corder Mentha the opportunity to say thank you to the City of Whyalla.
KM handed over to new owners GFG Alliance 3 weeks ago. Its time here was up and down, with the group having to ask for a painful 10% wage cut and deal with a crippling statewide power blackout.
They must be made to go forward, and that is a great lesson. And also, you must bring the community with you. You must keep them informed.
In his final update, Mr Mentha says the Steelworks has a bright future and is urging it to chase billions in government infrastructure projects.
Rail, which is an essential part of Australian infrastructure going forward, and to service the coal mines in Queensland and the northwest shelf opportunities.
The team were presented with the memento of their time here by Whyalla Council.
We really appreciate it, and we wanted to give them some sort of gift that was ongoing, that they can remember Whyalla. I'm sure they won't forget us.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
There's been fierce debate over what should be done to prevent flooding in Port Lincoln's CBD. Council is divided on the issue, in particular just how much should be spent on a possible multi-million-dollar solution.
It's the issue that has councillors divided and others left feeling in the dark. The Port Lincoln Council was working to find common ground on the Liverpool Street flooding upgrade, a solution that'll prevent the city from becoming flooded during wet weather events.
Maximising that money rather than to only $1,200, which is what we've already passed.
The council spent last night debating between a $5.5 million upgrade, but the mayor says a smaller $3.2 million plan is more than sufficient.
In that particular part of town, a 1 in 20-year flood event is what we should be protecting against, rather than the 1 in 100-year flood event.
Not everyone is happy. One councillor was forced on the outer due to a conflict of interest. His business could be affected from the upgrade. Meanwhile, surrounding businesses who were left out of pocket by recent flooding see the cheaper plan as short-sighted. The Mayor is standing firm, saying they need to consider the wider community footing the bill.
It's a balance between what is reasonable, what is affordable.
Ratepayers can expect a hit, with the council looking to complete the upgrade next year.
We need to change our long-term financial plan. We need to change our annual business plan for next year.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Architecture students from Adelaide Uni are undertaking a project to transform unused spaces around Port Augusta. 12 projects have been put to a community vote, and the most popular idea will be constructed in just 3 days before it's unveiled on Friday.
These tired, unused spaces across Port Augusta have caught the creative eye of these architecture students. As a part of their studies, they've put forward 12 ideas on how to transform Commercial Road, some alleyways and a gravel parking lot around town.
The students had few constraints, so they had a budget, very strict budget, $3,000. They had few requirements from the council in terms of how to use public space.
After presenting their ideas to a panel of council members and locals, students put their projects to a vote. One project, dubbed Magic Water, received the popular vote, a plan to transform Port Augusta's empty parking lot with pools of water to reflect the surrounding heritage buildings.
Yes, I'm very surprised, and I never imagined I can get so much support from others.
This idea of reclaiming a space which is beautiful but in this moment is used as a parking lot. So these three components are really making this project very strong compared to some of the others.
Another popular idea, coloured paper representing different emotions inside recycled bottles to capture the feelings of the town.
And the 7 kind of colour paper represents 7 kind of people's emotion, and people can write down their idea about their city.
The students have 3 days to bring the winning idea to life and are inviting the community to get involved before all is revealed at the end of the week. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. Still to come, Senator Nick Xenophon announces when he'll reveal his candidates for regional seats at the next election. Welcome back. Police are targeting middle-aged men on motorbikes in a bid to reduce crashes on roads across the region's north. Officers are hoping the tongue-in-cheek campaign will encourage riders to take extra care.
Tough outback roads and motorbikes can often be a recipe for a disaster. Far North Police have seen a spike in motorbike crashes in the region and have started this cheeky campaign to halt the trend. An outback bucket list for midlife crisis motorbike riders.
We started to notice a trend when we were looking at our crash data that suggested that there were a particular group of vehicle users and road users that were at risk that we needed to speak to.
On average, 13% of crashes that result in serious injuries involve motorcyclists, but here in the far north it's much worse, a staggering 60%.
And when we looked at the data, it tended to suggest that they were all male, they were all over 45 years of age, and that they were not necessarily riding bikes that were suited to outback road conditions, or that they didn't have extensive outback riding experience themselves.
Police are handing out these postcard-sized flyers listing arriving home in one piece, among other bucket list items like visiting Lake Eyre at sunset or taking a dip in Dalhousie Springs. They say uneven roads, overloading your bike and even wildlife are some of the biggest dangers.
You need to do some planning, and you need to think about what it is that you're riding on, and ride to the conditions of the road, and think about the way that you're balancing your bike, the stuff that you're carrying, and making time that you make plans to take a bit longer than what you think is going to take to get to where you want to be.
Police hope to see a reduction in crash numbers by the end of the year.
So it's using a bit of humour to target middle-aged males who are perhaps having a midlife crisis with their big bike, but just to get that information out there, that we want people to come, we want people to visit, but we want them to arrive home in one piece.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
A 43-year-old man's lost his licence for 6 months after allegedly returning a blood alcohol reading over the legal limit in a Port Pirie school zone. Police say it's expected he'll face further consequences once further testing is complete. The detection was part of a statewide drink and drug driving blitz in school zones where motorists are being targeted during the busy school drop-off and pick-up times. Meantime, police in Port Lincoln are searching for a car believed to be involved in a hit-run incident. On Friday, patrols were called to a crash between two cars, one of them this white station wagon at Duck Ponds. The driver of the other car received minor injuries before witnessing two men flee from the station wagon and into another car, a maroon Holden sedan. Police have seized the vehicle and are urging anyone who recognises it or has any information about the incident to come forward. Nick Xenophon has announced he'll reveal his party's candidates for 2 regional SA seats by the end of the month. The senator says whoever is chosen will be sure to be putting the community first, saying the area needs fresh leadership.
If the polls are anything to go by, Nick Xenophon's SA Best Party will hold the balance of power at the state election next March. The senator has 12 seats in his sights, promising to contest Liberal and Labor strongholds.
To have 12 candidates in a number of key seats, we're in it to win it, and obviously Giles and Frome are 2 seats we'd be very interested in.
Giles is held by Labor's Eddie Hughes and has been a stronghold for the party since its creation in 1993. Frome has been held by the independent Jeff Brock since 2009. But Mr Brock has since aligned himself with Labor, which allowed the party to form government at the last election in 2014. While Mr Xenophon holds him in good regard, he says he's lost his independence.
Being a minister in any government compromises you in terms of doing what you need to do for your local community.
As for Giles, he says it needs fresh, strong leadership to ensure the reforms that saved the wireless steelworks aren't undone.
Being in a balance of power situation in the seat of Giles representing the people of Whyalla would put the people of Whyalla in an incredibly powerful position.
Candidates are currently going through final checks before they'll be announced at the end of the month. And anyone willing to run on his ticket has been warned. You must put the community first.
Being a standout candidate for the local community, fighting hard on local issues and getting results.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
When we return after the break, the Port Lincoln men helping to commemorate a major World War I anniversary. Details next. Welcome back. Business owners are being urged to seriously consider investing in a CCTV system if they haven't already. Police in Port Pirie say it's a vital tool to help catch offenders. Here's Rachel Nell with this week's Police Talk.
CCTV cameras capture the moment this thief makes off with their loot.
Police are investigating the theft of a $500 cricket bat from a local store. This occurred on Wednesday the 13th of September.
The retailer recently installed a new high-definition CCTV system. The footage clearly shows the perpetrator hiding the cricket bat down his pants before distracting staff by asking a question before leaving. Local police are now asking the public to help identify the culprit.
Police are seeking assistance from members of the public to identify the male seen in the security footage. If anyone or any person can identify this male, please contact local police or Crime Stoppers.
Traditional CCTV systems don't always have the option to capture images in high definition, making it difficult to identify people and objects, especially in low-light situations. As you can see, this new technology provides a crystal clear picture, and local officers are encouraging all businesses in the region to invest in a system that produces top-quality imagery. They say it'll not only capture moments of crime, but also act as a deterrent to would-be offenders.
CCTV footage can actually prevent theft. It enables people to identify that there is footage in the area and can prevent people from going and stealing.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Port Lincoln's Men's Shed is busy making replica firearms for a commemoration reenactment to mark 100 years since the Battle of Beersheba. It'll pay tribute to local Anzac soldiers from the 4th Light Horse Brigade who captured the town during World War I.
Nearly 100 years ago, Australian soldiers armed with bayonets and rifles led what many believe to be the last great cavalry charge in history. Next week, men from the Australian Light Horse Brigade will be remembered during a reenactment to mark a century since they charged into the town of Beersheba. But organisers hit a little bump in the road, firearm laws preventing the use of actual weapons.
We've had to have imitation 303 rifles made. so that the troopers can carry something they can be seen to be carrying, mounted with a slung rifle during the reenactment and commemorations of it.
Milton Stevens, who's heading up next week's commemorations, got in touch with members of Port Lincoln's Men's Shed, who were happy to provide a helping hand.
It took us a little while to find the right sort of timbers to use and the right sizes, and we were very lucky to have a replica rifle to copy.
The project's even close to the hearts of some of the men.
My father was in the Light Horse in the 10th Brigade, actually.
The Southern Air Light Horse Troop will commemorate the 100-year anniversary on Monday at the Yolunda Flat Showgrounds. Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us after the break. A check of the local weather with Nicole, and the showers are clearing, Nicole.
Yes, that's right, Fraser. Plenty of clear skies ahead. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back to the weather now. Showers have cleared across the region, seeing plenty of sunshine today. A top of 21 in Port Augusta, 19 the maximum for Broken Hill and Port Pirie, a bit cooler in Whyalla for 17, and a bit of cloud about in Adelaide for a top of 16 degrees. Having a look at the satellite now, cloud over southeastern parts of South Australia with a low pressure trough and front is bringing a few showers, which should clear overnight. On the Gulf waters, winds up to 15 to 20 knots. Seas 1.5 metres with a south-southwesterly swell. Sunrise just before 6:15, sunset at 6:13. A bit of a welcome change, seeing some warmer days on the way. Time to put the jumpers away in Port Augusta and Woodena for 29 degrees. 27 the top in Whyalla and a lovely 24 expected in Port Lincoln and Broken Hill. Adelaide will see clear skies for 23 degrees. Sunshine continuing over the next few days in Port Lincoln, seeing a top of 23 degrees to wrap up the working week before showers set in. Similar conditions on the way for Cleve, hitting 31 in Woodena on Friday. Whyalla lapping up the warmth with 30 on the way for Friday. Similar temperatures in Port Augusta with 29 the top tomorrow and Thursday. A lovely start to the weekend in Kadina with 34 expected on Saturday. And still warm in Port Pirie, seeing those temperatures begin to climb for 28 on Friday. Showers on the way to start the weekend in Clare for 21 degrees. And firefighters will be on alert in Broken Hill Saturday, a windy one with a top of 34 degrees. So, Fraser, we can start to bring out the summer clothes with warmer weather on the way.
See you tomorrow, Nicole. Thank you. And that's all from the Southern Cross newsroom for now. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later, but until then, have a wonderful evening. Good night.